From beloved childhood favorites to the sex icon of a generation, these actors may be gone, but won't soon be forgotten. While technically the first live-action portrayals of the eponymous Mario Brothers came in the form of early 80s Atari commercials, Captain Lou Albano's and Danny Wells' performance as the daring duo is probably the most beloved. They entertained millions of children beginning in 1989 on the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. The show featured Albano and Wells playing the two plumbers during live-action sequences at their Brooklyn residence, often with a celebrity guest before switching over to a cartoon episode of Super Mario Bros. Or The Legend of Zelda. Albano and Wells also voiced Mario and Luigi in the Mario Bros. Cartoon episodes. Captain Lou was known for a prominent professional wrestling career that started in 1953 and ended in 1995, and he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame a year later. Albano died on October 14, 2009 from a heart attack at the age of 76. Danny Wells, who played Luigi, was known for his TV guest appearances on the likes of The Jeffersons, Happy Days, Punky Brewster, Chips, The A-Team, Sanford and Son, and Starsky and Hutch. He also did voice acting for Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, Batman the Animated Series, Johnny Bravo, and more. He died of undisclosed causes on November 28, 2013. If you're one of the few people who made it all the way through the Jaws franchise to the fourth movie, 1987's Jaws: The Revenge, you may recognize Judith Barsi as the young granddaughter of Police Chief Martin Brody. Before that movie came out, Barsi already had small parts in well-known TV series including Cheers and Cagney and Lacey. Today, she is best remembered for two Don Bluth feature animations. She voiced Ducky, an excitable young dinosaur, in 1988's The Land Before Time, and Animal Whisperer Anne Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. On July 25, 1988, 4 months before The Land Before Time premiered, Judith, age 10, and her mother Maria were shot dead by Judith's abusive father, who then killed himself. According to the Los Angeles Times, a neighbor said that Maria had lived in fear for herself and her daughter. She was trying to leave her husband but feared he would find and kill them. Both The Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven came out after Judith and Maria's deaths. Actor Heather Hogan voiced Ducky in subsequent Land Before Time sequels. Dana Hill originally wanted to be a track star until type 1 diabetes ended her youthful athletic dreams. Her father's career as a commercial director helped her start in the industry, and she booked a series of ads before appearing on various television programs, including Mork and Mindy, Fallen Angel, and Magnum P.I. She also voiced a variety of animated characters for cartoons like Rugrats, Goof Troop, and Darkwing Duck. She's best recognized for playing Audrey Griswold in National Lampoon's European Vacation, replacing Dana Barron from National Lampoon's Vacation a few years prior. Hill's life and career were both cut short after suffering a fatal stroke triggered by her diabetes on July 15, 1996, at the age of 32. A classically trained Shakespearean actor, Helen McCrory made a name for herself on stage and in a number of fan-favorite films and television series. For those who don't frequent the London theater, McCrory was probably best known for playing Narcissa Malfoy in the Harry Potter film franchise. Other film credits include Skyfall, Hugo, The Queen, and more. On television, McCrory played Madame Kali in Penny Dreadful, provided the voice for Stell Maria on His Dark Materials, and owned every scene she appeared in as Polly Gray on Peaky Blinders. She passed away on April 16, 2021 at the age of 52 from breast cancer while filming the 6th season of Peaky Blinders. And certain storylines actually had to be rewritten due to her untimely death. Funny man Louie Anderson had one of the most iconic voices in the world of comedy. He was an actor whom you could identify after just hearing a few words from his mouth.
Well, I just know it's a sound, and he went, ah! And the producer said, you mean Louie Anderson?
Yeah. Anderson's wit and quick-thinking delivery made him a sought-after stand-up act. He regularly appeared on late-night television and celebrity game shows to help get the crowd rolling. Anderson's television career was an interesting one. Early on, he created a cartoon series called Life with Louie, based on his childhood in the Midwest. Anderson voiced both the childhood version of himself and his father in the series. The show won a number of Daytime Emmy Awards in the mid-90s. Anderson went on to appear on many other shows in small, memorable roles before becoming a critical darling again with the FX series Baskets. Anderson created the show along with Zach Galifianakis, Louis C.K., and Jonathan Kreisel. He starred in the series as Christine Baskets. Anderson died on January 21, 2022 from lymphoma at the age of 68. He had kept his diagnosis private for over a decade and passed away just 3 days after releasing information about his illness. Robbie Coltrane was a total chameleon of an actor. His characters were capable of displaying warmth, silliness, and love, while also showcasing fearsome strength and darkness. To be able to do this once or twice is impressive, but to do it again and again requires some serious talent. It's no wonder Coltrane was honored as an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2006. Coltrane jumped between comic and dramatic roles with ease. His best-known characters came from the world of film. He portrayed Valentin Zukovsky, a former KGB officer and frenemy of James Bond in GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough. His fame grew even more when he was cast as gamekeeper Rubeus Hagrid in the Harry Potter film franchise. Playing one of the warmest characters in a beloved franchise helped cement Coltrane's acting legacy. On the television side of things, Coltrane regularly appeared in TV movies and miniseries where he got to flex his acting muscles. He's probably best known for the crime drama Cracker, where he starred as Dr. Edward Fitzgerald. Coltrane died on October 14, 2022 due to ongoing health complications. He was 72 years old. In the world of classic television, not many shows stand above their peers like Happy Days. It ran for over a decade of television, featuring 11 seasons and over 250 episodes, and also helped launch the careers of notable actors like Ron Howard, Henry Winkler, and Scott Baio. One other actor who appeared in every season of Happy Days and starred in one of its spin-offs was Erin Moran. Moran played Joni Cunningham, the younger sister of Richie and Chuck, who eventually starts dating Chachi. As the young couple started gaining popularity on the show, a spin-off series called Joni Loves Chachi was created. This new series was about a young couple trying to start a musical act, and the episodes featured performances from Baio and Moran. Joni Loves Chachi was not as well received as Happy Days and was canceled during its second season. The characters popped back up on Happy Days and actually got married in the final episode. Moran continued to find work after Happy Days, but never really returned to the spotlight. She struggled with cancer later in life and died in 2017 at the age of 56. Even if you've never seen something she's appeared in, you've probably seen pictures of Raquel Welch. Welch was a major sex symbol in the 1960s and beyond. She made her first splash with the film 1 Million Years BC, shooting to fame after appearing on the film's poster, clad only in an animal skin bikini. She only had a handful of lines in the film, but that image was more than enough to make her a household name. Outside of that, Welch is probably best known for roles in films like the 1973 version of The Three Musketeers, Kansas City Bomber, Bedazzled, and Right to Die. She was a regular guest on celebrity specials and game shows, and also had recurring roles on a handful of short-lived series, like 2008's Welcome to the Captain and 2017's Date My Dad. Raquel Welch died on February 15, 2023, at the age of 82. Whether you call him the big guy or Uncle Phil, James Avery earned household name status through his portrayal of Philip Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Prior to making his mark on that long-running hit NBC sitcom, the burly actor had plenty of small roles throughout his TV career, although he was particularly well known for his voice acting work.
But you may call me the Shredder.
Avery was the voice of Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and War Machine on Iron Man. He also did voices for a list of projects that included The Prince of Egypt, Extreme Ghostbusters, Fist of the North Star, and Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. A fatherly presence despite his most famous character's name, Avery saddened a generation of viewers when he died from complications following heart surgery on December 31st, 2013, at the age of 68. Wendie Jo Sperber had small parts in two very big movies. She was an uncredited dancer in Grease, one of the most famous musicals of all time. And she played Marty McFly's older sister Linda in Back to the Future, reprising the role for Back to the Future Part 3. Even before Back to the Future, Sperber was well known to some thanks to her part in the sitcom Bosom Buddies. The show starred Tom Hanks as Kip and Peter Scolari as Henry, two friends who have to pretend to be women in order to get an apartment in a cheap women's-only hotel. Sperber played Amy, their co-worker and initially the only resident who knows the men's secret. In addition to regular movie roles, Sperber also appeared in episodes of various hit TV series including Murphy Brown, Will and Grace, Home Improvement, and Jag. Sperber was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1997. 4 years later, she founded We Spark Cancer Center, a nonprofit intended to support other patients and their families. She died on November 29, 2005, at the age of 47. When it came to the characters on Saved by the Bell, the odd man out was often Sam Powers, better known as Screech. The Saved by the Bell bunch boasted a nice collection of stereotyped characters, and Screech was the dork. Though Screech typically appeared as a side character, often aiding the schemes of Zack and Slater, actor Dustin Diamond was still able to showcase his comedic talents. That helped him carve out a solid identity for a character that could have easily been a throwaway member of the central cast. Like his character, however, Diamond was kind of the odd man out of the main cast. After the show ended, Diamond struggled to land substantial roles and often found himself at the center of bizarre controversies. A sex tape was leaked in 2006, one that Diamond later admitted he himself released, with a body double replacing him in most of the scenes. Diamond would also release a behind-the-scenes tell-all book called Behind the Bell, in which he aired out all the dirty laundry on his Saved by the Bell co-stars. He would later admit that a ghostwriter made up almost everything in the book. Diamond passed away from lung cancer in 2021. He was 44 years old. Earl Hindman had a relatively low-profile show business career, but he stayed consistently busy for decades, appearing in movies like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Throughout the 70s and 80s, he had his most consistent visibility in the part of Bob Reed, a character he played in more than 450 episodes of the long-running ABC daytime drama Ryan's Hope. It was a steady gig whose reliability and dramatic potential would be the envy of most working actors. It was another supporting role on a long-running series, however, that ultimately earned Hindman his greatest notoriety.
Howdy, neighbor.
Most 90s kids will remember him as Wilson, the mysterious but friendly neighbor of Tim the Toolman Taylor on the hit sitcom Home Improvement. Hindman died on December 29, 2003, at the age of 61 due to lung cancer, leaving a generation with fond memories of that lovable neighbor behind the fence who always had the best advice and most interesting hobbies.
Well, hi-ho, Taylor Teen. I am sculpting a shrine out of yak butter.
One of the original kings of comedy next to Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac built his hugely successful career through a stand-up routine heavily influenced by Richard Pryor. That in and of itself isn't unusual, but Mac used that cornerstone to build a presence and style that was uniquely his own.
I never watch what somebody else does. It does not matter. Bernie Mac got to do his thing.
That hard work paid off in Hollywood with a series of high-profile roles. Many might recognize Mac as Ice Cube's neighbor, Pastor Clever in the movie Friday. He'd go on to star in Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, Ocean's 11, Transformers, and more, and also headlined a sitcom loosely based on his own experiences called The Bernie Mac Show. During the last years of his life, Mac suffered from sarcoidosis, which heavily affected his lungs, and he succumbed to pneumonia complications on August 9, 2008 at the age of 50. Harold Ramis was 69 when he passed away from an autoimmune disease in 2014, which in and of itself might have come as a surprise to many of the film fans who watched him in 80s classics like Stripes, National Lampoon's Vacation, and Ghostbusters. A talented director and screenwriter, as well as a frequent fixture in some of the biggest comedy hits of the decade, Ramis's behind-the-scenes talents helped bring us Groundhog Day and Caddyshack, among many others. In fact, he jumped back and forth between either side of the cameras throughout his career, co-writing both of the Ghostbusters movies as well as Stripes. Although few fans knew he was ill, Ramis struggled with the side effects of his infection for years. He had to learn how to walk all over again after contracting autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis in 2010 and suffered a relapse the following year. His final on-screen appearance came in the 2009 comedy Year One. A veteran of stage and screen who amassed a distinguished career spanning decades, Richard Harris notched arguably his highest profile role late in his career, courtesy of the blockbuster Harry Potter film franchise. In two of his final screen appearances, Harris played Potter's beloved headmaster Albus Dumbledore in the first two installments of the blockbuster film franchise The Sorcerer's Stone and The Chamber of Secrets. Although he'll always be Dumbledore to generations of Potter-loving fans, outside of Hogwarts, Harris compiled multiple careers worth of impressive credits and honors. He was an accomplished singer, actor, director, writer, producer, and songwriter who won Grammy and Golden Globe Awards for his work on 15 different albums and more than 70 films, including Camelot, The Guns of Navarone, Gulliver's Travels, Patriot Games, Unforgiven, Gladiator, and The Count of Monte Cristo. After being diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, Harris died on October 25, 2002 at the age of 72. Best known for playing the young Carol Ann from the movie Poltergeist, Heather O'Rourke skyrocketed to instant fame as the sweet young girl that terrified audiences after being sucked into the television set. In fact, she may have played the part a little too well. Although O'Rourke racked up an impressive list of credits after her breakthrough performance as Carol Ann, she remained tied to the franchise in the public's mind, and she was one of a very small number of original cast members that remained with the movie series until its conclusion with 1988's Poltergeist 3. If you've seen the final movie, you may notice that Heather's cheeks appear very puffy, and although audiences didn't know it at the time, it was a reaction to the medication she was taking for Crohn's disease, with which she was misdiagnosed. Tragedy struck on February 1st, 1988, when Heather suffered from cardiac arrest while undergoing a surgery for a bowel obstruction at the tender age of 12. Thuy Trang was best known for her work as the original Yellow Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but unlike a lot of actors who start out in genre TV, she seemed in no danger of being typecast. In fact, she was developing what seemed like a potentially promising career after leaving the show. Trang jumped right into feature work, landing roles in a pair of movies released in 1996, the dark drama The Crow, City of Angels, and the Leslie Nielsen comedy Spy Hard. Clearly, Trang had enough chops to tackle work from a variety of genres, but sadly, she never had a chance to fulfill that potential. She was killed in a car accident at the age of 27 in 2001, after the driver lost control of the vehicle and it plunged over a guardrail on California's Interstate 5. Emergency medical personnel tried getting Trang to the hospital, but she died in transit, the result of massive internal injuries. One of Hollywood's all-time ultimate that guy actors, Taylor Negron, compiled a truly compressive list of classic screen credits without ever becoming a household name. Although he tended to be on screen for no more than a few moments at a time, Negron's deadpan delivery made him a fan favorite among film aficionados of the 80s, and a standout in pictures like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Better Off Dead. Later in his career, Negron made memorable appearances on hit TV shows like Seinfeld and Friends, but as much fun as he could be on screen, he was even more interesting behind the scenes. In addition to acting, Negron was an acclaimed writer whose work included published collections of short stories, as well as a trained painter whose work was shown in multiple galleries. He was only 57 when he died in early 2015 after a battle with liver cancer. After making a name for himself as a professional wrestler, Rowdy Roddy Piper branched out onto the big screen, most notably through his starring role in the 1988 cult classic They Live. Leading that cult John Carpenter classic, Piper waged war against a covert alien invasion and coined an unforgettable catchphrase.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Piper's bone-crunching work in that film helped set the tone for a busy Hollywood career full of B-movie roles and small but unforgettable appearances on television shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. On the screen as well as in the ring, Piper gave every performance his all, frequently elevating otherwise forgettable material and consistently serving as the most memorable component of whatever project he was appearing in. He died in his sleep in 2015 after suffering a pulmonary embolism that triggered a heart attack. Critically maligned and pretty much ignored at the box office, Rocky V is indisputably the least loved film of Sylvester Stallone's long-running boxing franchise. Take a careful look under its cheesier elements, however, and you can see the outline of a truly affecting story about a former heavyweight champ going broke, losing his ability to box, and nearly losing his relationship with his son. To help tell the story, Stallone brought in his own 14-year-old son, Sage, to play the part of Robert Rocky Jr. Balboa in the film, and young Stallone's time on the set clearly made a positive impression. After college, Sage continued working in the industry in small, low-key projects, carving out a career in his own right apart from his blockbuster leading father. Unfortunately, Sage died on July 13, 2012, at the young age of 36 due to a heart attack brought on by coronary artery disease. Long before he founded an ill-fated amusement park using the secrets of dino DNA, Richard Attenborough was already an accomplished and award-winning actor. Attenborough starred alongside Steve McQueen in The Great Escape, released in the midst of a busy period that included some of his most widely seen work. He also won 2 consecutive Golden Globe Awards in 1967 and 1968 for co-starring in The Sand Pebbles and Dr. Dolittle. Needless to say, Attenborough's career contains no shortage of highlights, and his work will no doubt be familiar to classic film fans. Younger filmgoers, however, have their own Attenborough memories thanks to his appearance as John Hammond, whose ambitions led to the creation of Jurassic Park. That blockbuster made him famous to a whole new generation, but it's just one short chapter in a life of many great cinematic achievements that ended on August 24, 2014 at the age of 90.
What you talking about, Willis?
Kids of the 70s and 80s, and honestly anyone who enjoys the classic sitcoms of the era, will immediately recognize the immortal catchphrase Gary Coleman coined as an adorable kid on the long-running hit sitcom Different Strokes. Coleman's diminutive stature helped him continue to play younger characters throughout much of his career, and at the peak of his fame, he landed a series of film and television roles. Unfortunately, his youthful looks and peak height of 4 feet 8 inches were side effects of an autoimmune kidney disease combined with the medications he took throughout his life to fight the condition. Work in Hollywood became harder to come by after Strokes left the airwaves, and behind the scenes, he underwent frequent dialysis treatments and was forced to undergo 2 kidney transplants. After a fall at his home, Coleman died on May 28, 2010 of an epidural hematoma at the age of 42. Exactly where you remember esteemed actor Edward Herrmann from depends on whether you favor musicals, vampire movies, medical TV shows, or fast-talking mother-daughter family dramas. Herrmann is probably best recognized today for his role as pompous but warm-hearted patriarch Richard Gilmore in the series Gilmore Girls. Richard's dry sense of humor and quiet authority contrasted with the quick wit and constant banter that flew between his daughter Lorelai and his granddaughter Rory and his wife Emily, who was played by Kelly Bishop. Off-screen, Herrmann and Bishop, both classically trained and meticulous about their craft, were especially close. Herrmann's wife Star, whom he married in 1994, would joke that Bishop was his other wife. In Herrmann's final moments, his family invited Bishop to say goodbye with them. Before his longest-running role in Gilmore Girls, Herrmann worked regularly on TV and in movies. He was nominated for an Emmy for playing a priest in the medical drama St. Elsewhere and won one for the legal series The Practice. He played Franklin D. Roosevelt in the 1982 adaptation of Annie, having previously played the president for a miniseries and TV movie in the late 70s. And in 1987, he played a stepfather from literal hell in the vampire movie The Lost Boys. Herrmann died of brain cancer at age 71 on December 31, 2014. In the Netflix revival of Gilmore Girls, it was revealed that Richard had also died, sparking big changes for Emily in particular. Deezer D was one of the foundational actors on hit medical drama ER. Born Deerin Thompson, he played nurse Malik McGrath on the show's entire 15-year run, appearing in 188 episodes. As often happens in real hospitals as well as fictional ones, ER typically focused on its physicians and surgeons, not the nurses. But Thompson was one of just a handful of actors who appeared in every season, and his episode count makes him the 5th most prolific member of the large cast. Outside of ER, Thompson had a few small parts in movies, including the cult classic comedy Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, and appeared in Vanilla Ice's video for Cool as Ice. He played one of the members of a fictional rap group in the mockumentary movie CB4 in 1993 and also rapped for real. He released multiple records, including the full-length album Delayed But Not Denied in 2008, and continued making songs until his death. His final track, History Can't Be Stopped, was released posthumously. Thompson started having heart issues around 2008, telling Radar Online the following year that he had been suffering from recurrent pneumonia and heart failure. It was discovered that he had a leaking valve and expanded aorta, which was addressed with surgery in 2009. According to Deadline, he went on to have more operations on his heart over the next 10 years or so. Thompson died on January 7, 2021, at the age of 55 of a suspected heart attack. Kathryn Joosten was in her 50s when she started working consistently in notoriously youth-centric Hollywood in the mid-1990s. She'd start acting in 1980 after realizing she was missing out on following her dreams. Despite her late start, Joosten built a career playing one-off but always memorable characters in hit TV series. Her credits include ER, Third Rock from the Sun, Seinfeld, Roseanne, The Nanny, Frasier, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and The X-Files, to name just a few. Later, she would add the likes of Will and Grace and Grey's Anatomy to that list. In short, name a hit show of the 90s and 2000s, and Joosten probably appeared in it. Her most memorable guest appearance was as a woman who refused treatment for kidney failure in season 1 of Scrubs. The episode My Old Lady consistently ranks as a fan favorite, thanks in no small part to Joosten's performance.
Unfortunately, we don't really have a choice.
Well, actually, I do have a choice.
Certain things you never expect to come out of a person's mouth.
I think I'm ready to die.
In addition to those guest roles, Joosten landed regular parts in 2 major series. She played the steely secretary to Martin Sheen's President Bartlett in 2 seasons of The West Wing, combining her talents for fast-paced drama and comedy, and nosy but occasionally helpful neighbor Karen McCluskey in Desperate Housewives. Joosten was first treated for lung cancer in 2001, the year My Old Lady aired. She was undergoing treatment while making the final season of Desperate Housewives, which was written into her character's arc. McCluskey died in the season finale. Joosten died 2 weeks after that episode aired, on June 2, 2012, at the age of 72. Hugh Dane's resume reads like a list of the top sitcoms of the 90s and early 2000s. He played 2 different characters in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, appeared in an episode of Martin, and multiple episodes of Rock. He had small parts in Friends, Sister Sister, Everybody Hates Chris, and New Girl. On the drama side, he played a judge in an episode of The West Wing. He also appeared briefly in the comedy movies Little Fockers and Bridesmaids. However, Dane will most likely be remembered and missed for his role as Hank, the permanently unimpressed security guard in The Office. He appeared in 22 episodes of NBC's hit mockumentary about the inner workings and ridiculous shenanigans in a Scranton, Pennsylvania paper company. Dane died at the age of 75 on May 16, 2018. After his death, his The Office co-star Rainn Wilson described him as one of the greats, so kind, funny, and talented. On January 1, 2021, NBC's streaming platform Peacock tweeted a video of a cold open that never aired dedicated to Dane. It showed one of Jim's most elaborate pranks on Nemesis Dwight, featuring Dane as Morpheus from The Matrix.
If the blue pill's not safe to swallow, someone should tell us now.
Kenny Baker originated one of the most beloved characters in one of the most popular movie franchises of all time, but you wouldn't recognize him from that role out of costume. Baker is most famous for playing R2-D2, the brave and mischievous Star Wars droid. He was born with dwarfism, but it wasn't just Baker's height that made him perfect for the role. According to his New York Times obituary, he was the only person small enough to fit into the costume who was also strong enough to move it. It helped that Baker had been in entertainment for years. He sang, danced, played instruments, clowned, and ice skated in various touring companies. As he told The Guardian, "There are certain close-up movements only I can do convincingly. It's all about giving R2 a personality, and CGI can never really do that." In addition to R2, Baker played an Ewok in Return of the Jedi, alongside his wife and fellow actor Eileen. But the furry, violent inhabitants of the jungle planet Endor were less fun to play than to watch, thanks to the stuffy costumes. It wasn't just that they were hot. The heads were impossible to see out of when they steamed up. The last time Baker played R2 was for Revenge of the Sith, although he served as a consultant on The Force Awakens. He also appeared in many other movies and series, including Flash Gordon, Time Bandits, and Amadeus. He died at the age of 81 on August 13, 2016. If you're a millennial who grew up wishing you could have an identical twin to swap lives with, you probably remember Natasha Richardson best for her role as the extremely cool fashion designer mom in the Lindsay Lohan-led remake of The Parent Trap. That was Richardson's most prominent screen role, but she had a prestigious stage career. It started with a touring version of The Seagull, which ended in London's West End, with Richardson appearing opposite her mother, renowned British actor Vanessa Redgrave. TV fans may know Vanessa best for her role as Dr. Erica Naughton in Nip Tuck, opposite her older daughter and Natasha's sister, Jolie Richardson. Jolie should also be known to fans from the Parent Trap era as Anita in the 1996 live-action adaptation of 101 Dalmatians. As you've probably noted, Natasha was part of an acting dynasty. Her grandfather, Sir Michael Redgrave, Vanessa's father, was famous for tragedies. Natasha's aunt, Lynn Redgrave, Vanessa's sister, was an Oscar-nominated theater superstar. To round out the family, Lynn and Vanessa's brother, Corin Redgrave, was a stage actor and playwright. Natasha met actor Liam Neeson when they starred opposite each other in a Broadway production of Anna Christie. She was nominated for a Tony for the role, and the two later married and had 2 sons together. Natasha died suddenly of head injuries sustained during a skiing trip on March 18, 2009. She was 45. In a show that made superstars out of its 6 main cast members, James Michael Tyler managed to hold his own as one of the most memorable side characters. He played coffee shop manager Gunther in Friends for all 10 seasons, appearing in 150 episodes total, although he didn't have a line for his first 33 appearances. Tyler originally landed the role because he knew how to work the fancy espresso machine on the Central Perk set. Not one to take himself overly seriously, after Friends he played himself in the satire episodes, which saw that version of Tyler experiencing a slightly awkward reunion with Matt LeBlanc, who played Joey on Friends, also playing himself. Tyler loved the experience of being in Friends, although there was one drawback. As he told Digital Spy, he was cast with very distinctive bleached blonde hair, which added to his character's mystique. But it was originally the result of an experiment he let one of his friends perform, which turned into weekly bleach jobs for 10 years. Tyler was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2018, which he didn't make public until June of 2021. That month, he announced in an interview with NBC that the cancer had reached stage 4, meaning it had spread to other parts of his body. He died just a few months later on October 24, 2021. A veteran stage, film, and television actor, Richard Griffiths is known by the masses for his portrayal of Harry Potter's uncle, Vernon Dursley. While Dursley was, for the most part, always cruel to the young wizard, he was still a part of Harry's family, and he ultimately helped prove that the boy who lived had a golden heart because he still cared for the uncle who treated him poorly. Outside of the Harry Potter series, Griffiths won a slew of awards over the course of a busy career, earning particular acclaim for his portrayal of English teacher Douglas Hector in a play called The History Boys. He also starred in a variety of projects, including Superman 2, Gandhi, Sleepy Hollow, King Ralph, Hugo, Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tides, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Griffiths passed away at 65 on March 28, 2013 due to complications shortly after having heart surgery. Brad Renfro skyrocketed to fame at age 11 through his acclaimed work in Joel Schumacher's adaptation of author John Grisham's book The Client. High-profile roles quickly followed, and Renfro made appearances in Sleepers opposite Brad Pitt, The Informers starring Kim Basinger, and Ghost World alongside Scarlett Johansson. Yet, as his star continued to rise on screen, Renfro faced a darker path behind the scenes, one that would ultimately see him fulfilling the sad destiny of many child actors, plunging into a life of illegal drug use and trouble with the law. After attempting to buy drugs from an undercover LA police officer, Renfro pleaded no contest to attempted possession of heroin and spent 10 days in jail. On January 15, 2008, at 25 years old, Renfro's turbulent story reached a tragic end when he was found dead of an accidental heroin and morphine overdose in his apartment in Los Angeles. Dana Plato played Kimberly Drummond in the long-running hit television series Different Strokes. Cast alongside fellow child stars Gary Coleman and Todd Bridges, she was catapulted to instant stardom. To cope with the mounting pressures of fame, Plato often indulged in cocaine and marijuana off the set, yet it wasn't until she became pregnant that the network released her from her contract, helping her trigger a downward spiral of drugs and alcohol that included work in adult films and a spread in Playboy magazine. She later moved to Las Vegas, where desperate for cash, she robbed a store for less than $200 and was bonded out of jail by Vegas entertainer Wayne Newton. She died at the age of 34 on May 8, 1999, in her RV in Oklahoma after taking a fatal dose of Lortab and Valium. Best known for her work starring as Mel Gibson's daughter in the blockbuster The Patriot, Skye McCole Bartusiak was a child actress with a promising future. She made her film debut in the Cider House Rules in 1999 and starred with Michael Douglas and Brittany Murphy in Don't Say a Word in 2001. She also appeared in the film Kill Your Darlings with True Blood star Alexander Skarsgård in 2006. Unfortunately, Bartusiak's life behind the scenes wasn't as glamorous as fans might have assumed and included some dangerous drug habits that would end up contributing to her having an accidental overdose in 2014. According to Bartusiak's mother, the young star had also been suffering from epileptic seizures prior to her passing, which led to the family initially believing she choked to death before the coroner's ruling made the tragic truth clear. Before getting his big break, Michael K. Williams was consistently cast as one-dimensional criminals. He was a young black man in a white industry that didn't know how to tell diverse stories about people who looked like him. Also, he had a distinctive facial scar from the time someone attacked him with a razor, something else Hollywood didn't know what to do with. Williams' big break came courtesy of The Wire character Omar Little, an armed robber who targets drug dealers and the most feared man in a territory ruled by violence. But Little wasn't a carbon copy of those previous characters. For one thing, he was openly gay in a homophobic society that mocked gay men as weak. For another, he was known to give some of his ill-gotten gains to people in his much-in-need community. After playing Omar, Williams landed roles in several prestigious series, including crime drama The Night of When We Rise, about the gay civil rights movement, and a recurring part as a racketeer in prohibition drama Boardwalk Empire. He even got to show off his comedy skills in Community. In 2019, he appeared in Ava DuVernay's When They See Us, as the father of one of the wrongfully accused Central Park Five. In 2020, he was nominated for his 5th Emmy for the HBO series Lovecraft Country. Williams died at the age of 54 on September 6, 2021, of what was later confirmed as a drug overdose.
The famous Jet Jackson, Lee Thompson Young's star vehicle, was a very popular show on the Disney Channel for some time. Friday Night Lights, Akeelah and the Bee, and The Hills Have Eyes Too were some of the few films on Young's impressive resume. But while working as a series regular on Rizzoli and Isles, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Sadly, on August 19, 2013, his life came to a tragic end after he committed suicide with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dominique Dunne was born into a life of privilege in Santa Monica to a ranching heiress and TV writer and producer Dominique Dunne. Dominique made appearances in the TV shows Chips, Fame, and The Quest. But the same year Poltergeist was released, her deranged ex-boyfriend John Thomas Sweeney murdered her in her own driveway in West Hollywood on November 4, 1982. With a resume as long as your arm, Jonathan Brandis showed up in Who's the Boss, Blossom, LA Law, Full House, The Wonder Years, and Murder, She Wrote, among tons of others. As a child and teenage star for many years, it seemed like he had no shortage of work. He was 16 when he made Ladybugs, and 17 when he was cast as a teen genius in Steven Spielberg's SeaQuest 2032. When SeaQuest was canceled in 1996, however, the once plentiful casting offers dried up. Depression soon plagued the young star. He died after sustaining injuries from an attempted suicide via hanging at the age of 27 in Danbury, Connecticut. Lisa Robin Kelly made audiences laugh as part of the ensemble cast of That 70s Show, but her real life wasn't funny at all. After a lengthy battle with drug and alcohol addiction that ultimately caused her to lose her job on the show, Kelly checked into rehab in August 2013, only to pass away in her sleep due to complications from an accidental overdose. She was only 43. Michael Clarke Duncan's towering physique made him a natural for big guy roles, but he really had dramatic chops, and unlike a lot of actors booked for that type of part, he got a chance to show them. His 2 brief filmography includes memorable supporting turns in Armageddon and Daredevil, as well as a beautifully sensitive starring performance in the big screen adaptation of Stephen King's The Green Mile. Duncan should have had a much longer career, but he was felled by a heart attack in 2012 at the age of 54.